Hi, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio. I'm getting ready to do some quilting on the super simple squares quilt, and first thing I'm going to do is to choose the threads for the outer borders. So I want to show you that process, and then I want to show you what I plan to do with the quilting in the borders. I am at the point with the project where I need to choose the thread for the borders, and so I pulled out all of my turquoisey threads and need to make a choice. This one is teal, which is a very dark teal, and it's a little bit too blue. There's not enough green in it for these fabrics. You can probably see that. So this one I can eliminate right away. So I'm going to put that on my table. This one blends in pretty well with the darker turquoise thread or fabric, so that one could be a maybe. And then this is signature 100% cotton. It's called turquoise, and it's a little bit darker than this shade, but that goes well, so that's a maybe. Now this one is soft cyan, and it is more of a, it's just blue. There's no green shades in here, so I'm going to eliminate that one. And then this is just the same color as this, supposedly. They're both turquoise with the same color number, but the lot numbers are different. So if you run out of a thread and you need to match it to what you're currently working on, you may have trouble, because you may wind up with this. This one is a little bit more green, this one's a little bit more blue, and you might not notice that though when you quilt. That's one thing when you're quilting, you know, the thread is you know, part of the quilt at that point, and sometimes you don't notice the difference. But these are obviously two different colors, and in my vision I can see the difference. And then this is a signature ombre. It's turquoise, and this is a polyester thread, and this one goes really well with both of them. So I think I'm going to use this one. This one is a lighter weight thread. It's a 30 text instead of a 40, but I like how it blends with both of these. You know, the dark color within the thread goes well with the dark fabric, and the light color goes well with the light fabric. And so I may use this because I don't often have a chance to use ombre or variegated threads where it looks good, and I think it would look pretty good in this in these two borders. So I've got this little sleeve to put over it because this is a polyester thread. It's slick, and it likes to, as it's going through the machine, it likes to pull down here, and then it snags, and then my thread breaks. So this little sleeve helps prevent that. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back on. And then for the bobbin, I think I'll use this thread here. Whoops. So this is going to be my combination for those two. And this way I don't have to change thread colors between these two borders. They'll be the same. Now I am going to stitch in the ditch. I haven't stitched in the ditch here, and I'm going to use this thread to stitch in the ditch because I don't want to waste my expensive ombre thread in the ditch where you're not going to see it. So I'm just going to use my solid. So I'm going to go ahead and wind my bobbins and then load this spool onto the machine, and then I'm going to stitch in the ditch on this border, and then I'll show you what I'm planning to do within these borders. Okay, I have the border marked with 2-inch vertical lines right here, and I use this 2-inch stencil by Designs with Lines, and then I used my pounds pad and put these lines all the way across the top on the outer border. And my plan for this design is to do some triangles. I'm going to draw a big triangle, and I'm going to quilt this. I don't know if you can see this. And then I'm going to come in and do a second triangle, and then I'm going to come in and do a swirl. And this makes the first triangle here with the second one inside, and then a swirl. And then I'm going to use this leg of the triangle to make the second one. So I'm going to go up to the second line here, and I've basted in 1/4 inch so I know where I need to stop my design, and I can go in even a little bit further if I want to, but this will be the seam line for the binding, so I don't want to quilt in there. So once I come up here, I'm going to go across and do another triangle, and then do another swirl, and then come back out, and then just go back across. So I'll be doing this all the way across. And I will have to backtrack over this end, but that's what this border is going to look like. So these marks are here to help me line up the points of the triangles. So I'm going to pull the machine over and start quilting this and show you what that looks like. I'm working at my bottom border right now, and I'm going to show you how I'm putting this design in. Now I have my markings, my 2-inch markings that I used with my stencil and my pounds pad, and I'm going to use this ruler here for a guide for me to get the outside edges of the triangle done. So first thing I'm going to do is go from the bottom to the top of the triangle and then back down. And I am on stitch regulated mode because I'm using a ruler. And I've got those 2 legs of this triangle in, so now I'm going to quilt another triangle within this. And I do this one freehand. And then I'm going to quilt a swirl. And then come out to the corner of the triangle down here. And I want the swirl to go towards the point here. So all of these marks, these chalk marks, are to give me a guide as to where the points of the triangles go. I just adjusted my camera so I can get a better, hopefully a better view. At least we have more of the quilt showing. So I've got the first triangle done. I'm going to do the one right next to it. And all I need to use the ruler for is the right side of this triangle. And then quilt the triangle within. And then the swirl so that it curls up towards the point. And then come out to that corner. So I'm just keep going around, or keep doing this all the way down the end of the border. In this swirl I almost put the wrong direction, so it's a little bit different looking, but it's still a swirl. Okay, do one more. Now I'm leaving myself plenty of room up here because I don't want to go into where I'll be binding this quilt. And something you'll notice is that the inside triangles, I don't have these edges perfectly straight. They have kind of a curve in them, and that's just what happens with this machine when I go at a diagonal. If I don't have it resting up against a straight edge, it wants to curve. And I kind of like that look within this triangle, gives it a whimsical look, so that's why I'm doing that. if I wanted to look perfectly straight, then I would just use my ruler as I'm quilting that inner triangle. But I'm purposely not doing that, not only because it saves me time, but because I kind of like that look in this quilt. This is going to be kind of a playful, whimsical quilt. It's not going to be a formal quilt, so I'm not going to get myself all worked up over the fact that my straight edges, my straight lines are not perfectly straight, because I really don't want them to be. I think this is the look that I'm going for, and that's the way I'm going to do it. So I want to adjust the camera out a little bit again and show you a little bit more of this quilting. Okay, now I'm working on the dark border, which is the inner border, and I am doing some swirls, and they're kind of alternating. And I went and I marked a 1-inch grid across here to begin with, and found I've quilted about, I don't know, 6 inches so far, and I found that that grid just is more distracting than helpful. So I went ahead and just brushed all that chalk off and just did a freehand. And so I'll go ahead and quilt this in for you, but I'm basically, it's kind of like a ribbon candy with a swirl on both ends of the ribbon where it curls upon itself. So I'll show you that, and I'm going to do this in stitch regulated mode at the moment. I think it probably will go smoother for me if I do it on manual, but I'm going to go ahead so that I can pause on stitch regulated mode. So I'm going to comb up, do a swirl, come back up quite a ways, and then come back down and do the other swirl, and then come back down, and then go on up and do the next one. And that's all there is to it. And I'm going to do this all the way along this border. Now I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to start quilting. I'm going to put this in manual mode and see how that goes. And I'm going to turn the speed up to about 50%. Let me show you how this looks in manual mode. Here's a close-up of the two borders. Here is the top border, and I have my swirls going towards the tips of the triangles, and you can see in here where I have pulled out some of the stitches. I had to do some ripping out of stitches because I had the swirls going the wrong way. In fact, I did that all the way across the border except for, I think this one here was the only one that I did correctly. Well, this one here. So there's that. And then you can see this border here where all the variegated thread colors are showing really well. So you can see the difference in that thread as it goes through its variegated stages, and I think that's real pretty. Now, one thing you'll notice about these borders is this one is densely quilted and this one is not, and that can cause trouble with waviness in your quilt. If I did this border first, it would have caused this border to kind of pull. It would pull this in, and then this fabric would have waviness in it, except for the fact that I have it all basted down, and also for the fact that I did this border first. So if you want to do quilting like I did in here, you've got a inner border that's a lot more dense than your outer border. Do your outer border first, then do your dense border, and then you'll be okay. It should be able to keep your quilt square. It shouldn't give you any trouble. So that's just a little tip. And then the corner over here, you can see I just did a couple of little leaves in here, or plumes or feathers, and I just did the two outside ones first, and then I did the one in the middle, and I did that on all the corners. So, and then this is the corner of the outer border where I used the ruler and did the 1/2 inch outline stitching around the X that I had quilted in there. So that is what we're looking like so far. So I still have a long ways to go. I don't have any of the body of the quilt done, and I will get to that hopefully this week. So this is as far as I got on the quilt. I got the outer borders started. I'm not completely done with them, but I've got to start, and I'm not sure I'm going to have time this weekend. I have a procedure going on Monday, so I have some things I've got to do, a medical procedure. So I have some things I have to do this weekend to get ready for that. So it's not a major procedure, but it is going to involve time. So I'm going to have to take care of that. I should be back to normal on Tuesday, so it's not a really big deal, but it's still something that takes time. So I will get some more video taken as I get more quilting done, and hopefully I'll get a lot more done this week. This next week, this current week has been another busy week, not quite as bad as the previous week, but we had an event at our church that took a lot of time, and it took all of yesterday, and today's been kind of a catch-up day, so I've been pretty busy with that. And I've had doctor's appointments, 2 doctor appointments thrown in, and I've got that procedure coming up on Monday, and this is all follow-up on the cancer thing. So it's just the way it is. You know, once you've got cancer, they try to they keep a close eye on you, which is good. So that way they can catch, if anything comes back, they can catch it early. So it's things I need to do, tests I need to have done, but they all seem to be coming all at once. So it's kind of aggravating. I really get sick of being in doctor's offices and stuff. So that's the way it goes. Anyway, I hope you've had a good week, and I hope you will stick around and join me on the next video.
Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my newest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.